Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today with a little Xbox discussion video. Today the news is rolling a bit slower and I wanted to open up a conversation based off some quotes from Phil Spencer that happened yesterday during the Wall Street Journal Tech Conference. He was there talking about all things from Call of Duty to Game Pass to profitability to PC Game Pass growth. And while I saw a lot of Xbox fanboys really pounding their chest a bit saying, let's go, Game Pass is profitable, which I do think is interesting because we do want to see that service sustained. There was a lot of celebration that Microsoft, the richest company on the planet, was making a lot of money, and I feel like there were other things that Phil said that require a bit more conversation and thought that I wanted to dive into in today's video. So what we're looking at today is a pretty significant change for Xbox. It's one where they are moving in a direction that we're somewhat familiar with, but they're beginning to, I'd say, plant the seeds for a partnership with Nintendo. We've seen this indicated in the past, as we'll get into in this video, but now with the way Xbox is going and some very recent decisions that have been made, I think I have a pretty good idea of what they want to do with Game Pass and xCloud gaming, which are the backbone of the current Xbox infrastructure. So we're going to discuss further in this video. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here and you're interested in Xbox news and information, you're in the right place. Welcome aboard, consider subscribing. So Xbox Keystone, you may or may not be familiar with this. It's something we talked about over a week ago here on the channel when Phil Spencer had seemingly teased that it may be on the way. Xbox Keystone is a streaming device that utilizes Xbox Cloud Gaming and is reportedly going to include a suite of other apps. It's going to go for around $100. It's going to include a controller, and this is Xbox's way to continue to market Xbox Cloud Gaming, which is growing really fast. One of the last stats we heard is that since the last year, Xbox Cloud Gaming hours are up 1,800%. That is a pretty insane leap. Of course, the question there is from what number to what number. They leave that stuff out intentionally, perhaps because they don't want to underwhelm fans, but that number in general, 1,800%, is an impressive leap. So Xbox continues to invest in their cloud gaming technology. However, what we saw in that photo looked to be a prototype of what has been reported as Xbox Keystone, and Xbox has confirmed as much to Windows Central Gaming that they are working on this type of device. What Phil said seems to indicate that this is on the shelf for at least a little bit of time and that we won't see it for a while. And this is important because Xbox needs to have a near future plan and a far future plan. And I think I understand why they're approaching it this way. So first off, let's read a brief quote from Phil Spencer. Keystone was something that we were incubating internally. Late spring, we pivoted to working with Samsung. I still have the prototype, which is the one that we saw in the photo. Will we do a streaming device at some point? I expect we will, but it's years away. Now, note how he indicates there's been a pivot internally from instead of doing their own thing to what we now know with Samsung is going to be an app on smart TVs. And so what that says to me as a user of Microsoft hardware is that Xbox's plan is to, instead of making their own device and trying to sell that, is to get Game Pass on every possible device known to man while they work on the streaming stick. Now, why would they delay the streaming stick for years, it seems, based off Phil Spencer's quote? Well, whether we want to buy the full word of Microsoft or not, they have claimed in a report to the CMA that right now we're in the infancy of cloud-based technology, and that Microsoft believes that this will not play a factor at all in creating an unfair advantage for them in the market once they acquire Activision Blizzard. But more to the point of our conversation, Microsoft is claiming, and they're going to claim what helps them secure the deal, by the way, so this is why we have to take it with a grain of salt. But Xbox is claiming that right now, cloud gaming is not there, it is not ready yet, it's still immature, and we have to change consumer behavior. And the way they say they're going to do that is by getting people to adopt this technology, open their mind to it, and you do that by spreading your service everywhere. So what does this mean? Well, I started to think about the partnership with Nintendo. One thing Phil Spencer had also said during this Wall Street Journal Tech Conference was this: Call of Duty specifically will be available on PlayStation. I'd love to see it on Switch. I'd love to see the game playable on many different screens. Our intent is to treat COD like Minecraft. Now, that's a great case example because if you look what they've done with Minecraft, they've not only nurtured it to let it be its own thing and not change the core product of Minecraft or where it's available, but also with Minecraft, they've allowed various spin-offs to be taken with the franchise where you get a Minecraft Dungeons, you get a Minecraft Legends, which Legends actually does look pretty dope. So just on a separate note, I like that philosophy, I like that mindset, and I think it's good for everyone involved. And it could even be great for Call of Duty to go beyond what prints money, which is the annualized campaign and multiplayer, with the sweatshop for Call of Duty ongoing, with dozens and dozens of studios and thousands of employees dedicated to the effort, where maybe you could get a really cool spin-off every now and then. Instead of making just a zombies mode, what if you did a full zombies game? I don't know, I'm just spitballing here, but I like the mindset. Now back to our original topic here about things changing within Xbox is that they have shifted the focus to getting Game Pass as an app on all devices. And when you see here this pro Nintendo support, and then you look at very long ago when Sarah Bond was giving a presentation and coincidentally there was a Switch that was absolutely intentionally placed in the background. The reason I say absolutely is that was a professional set. That was not something that was in Sarah Bond's room. Like you could argue with Phil Spencer and his shelf, oh, this just happened to be here. Maybe. No, this was a professional set where it was shot with professional cameras and boom, there it was in the background, the Nintendo Switch with all the Xbox content. So they have teased for a while that some type of partnership is brewing, and a lot of us have been sort of just waiting for when that will happen. At least that's where I find myself personally. Now, the reason all this becomes all the more important is Microsoft has said, and it's funny, they're talking out of both sides of their mouth here. They say on one end of the spectrum when it comes to the CMA that, oh, cloud gaming is in its infancy, it's immature. Meanwhile, they also say that Microsoft has reached 20+ million people using Xbox cloud gaming. That's a pretty impressive stat. That doesn't mean everyone's using it every day, but that's a lot of users. And obviously when they want to reach every screen, they need to continue supporting this app so that number can grow. So what I'm taking away from this is that Xbox has shifted the actual focus internally from working on their own devices, like we've talked a lot on this channel about an Xbox handheld. They're shifting the focus away from creating yet another Xbox device that hosts all these apps that most of their ecosystem has already bought into. When you take a look at what Phil also said during this WSJ Tech Conference, he did mention that the console user base for Game Pass has stopped growing. It's not growing as fast as it once was. And I imagine what they need to do here is look beyond the Xbox borders, go somewhere else. And so what they want to do is take the software that they have right now and start putting it on any and all devices. So we already see it on the Logitech Cloud, which is something we'll be talking about on the channel very shortly because Logitech is sending me a device, so we'll be testing that out. But they've put it on the Steam Deck in a not so native capacity, whereas with Logitech it actually is going to be native, which is why I'm very keen to look at that. And then I start to think about other gaming devices like the Switch, where I feel the Switch is one of the biggest benefits to having Game Pass there, right? Because they always have done their own thing. They never needed Call of Duty, never wanted Call of Duty, it seemed. I'm sure the free money would be great for them, where they just let the game be put onto their platform and it's just free 30% cut for them. Sure, sounds good to us. Why not bring Call of Duty here? But when you look at the Mario, Zelda, the way they can just print money with Pokemon and so on and so forth, they play their own game. So when Microsoft does a kind of make good deal here of, hey, you want Call of Duty? We're just going to bring it to your platform because we want to make Call of Duty the best it can possibly be. And obviously Nintendo as a company will benefit a lot from having Call of Duty there. I see a little bit of nurturing here from Phil Spencer, from Xbox, to try to get Game Pass onto Switch. This is something that Phil has specifically said he has not given up on. When we saw the Epic and Apple court case, he said exactly that this was something that was not given up on internally. So I imagine this still continues to be an initiative, and in fact, it's becoming the main focus of the team if they are saying we are going to take a couple of years to work on this streaming device. Now, there's a benefit to waiting on that streaming device as well and instead putting this app in other places. Not only is getting your app in other places free marketing, but there is a fair argument to say that the market is maturing in the sense of internet. People's internet may not across the board be there. I'm not saying in 2 to 3 years time that a lot will dramatically shift in your life, where if you have pretty weak internet that suddenly it's going to be really strong. I'm not suggesting that, But if the internet continues to grow in the way it has, and Microsoft's Azure servers continue to be placed all around the world as they have been, then xCloud gaming will continue to be very strong, and you'll start to have that more native-like experience. I can say while my internet here at the studio space is really good, my home internet is extremely spotty, and I've had pretty clean xCloud gaming sessions. So that is a testament to Microsoft's efforts, and I do recommend you try it out yourself if you have yet to. But this is the focus for them. This is the change. They have shifted away from that hardware streaming focus, and they're looking more to putting the software on different pieces of hardware that are not currently theirs, which I think is smart. If you're trying to market Game Pass as if it were Netflix or Crunchyroll or whatever, you're going to try to have those built into any device out there. The only issue here is gaming is a competitive market. There's a lot of walls built up that have to be broken down here. And I personally believe in the terms of video games, when you're talking about the big three, Nintendo's wall will be the first to fall. Because again, Nintendo stands to gain the most here. They sort of stand alone, do their own thing, but it would be really cool to see something like Halo on Switch. I would love to see that. Plus, we've already seen Nintendo mess a lot with cloud gaming. It hasn't always been perfect, and we still get the really whack ports, something like Alan Wake. I don't know if you all saw that recently, but yeah, that looked pretty terrible. However, Nintendo has had a degree of success in certain instances, Kingdom Hearts certainly not being one of them, with the cloud versions of games. And I think a lot of fans are looking for that Switch Pro that has the native versions, and if you get something like that alongside xCloud gaming, the Switch is going to take another major step forward, and Microsoft's there to lift them up and, of course, expose their service to tons of fans around the world. Obviously, this is from an optimist point of view, because as a gamer, this is exciting, and it's something I would love to see. I personally don't think it would replace the way I play games, which is I like to be at my home console, posted up on my Xbox, playing Game Pass that way. But for a lot of folks, they don't want to go through the download times. They just want to fire the game up, and so they will play through xCloud and do it on a wired connection, and it is a near native experience. It's getting to that point now where turn-based is like perfect. There are certain games that function better than others. For example, I would not recommend you play something like Destiny 2, even though that's not on Game Pass, but I wouldn't recommend you play Destiny 2 on xCloud if that were an option, just because I know for Google Stadia, that was actually a pretty popular option, but it's not something I'd recommend for a twitchy shooter. It's something I'd recommend for a more methodical experience. Again, like Persona 5 Royal just came out. Perfect xCloud game. It's flashy, it's beautiful and all that good stuff, but it's a game that doesn't require a ton of reaction time, and it could help you chip away at a pretty big game. So I just think a lot of pieces are falling into place here for Xbox, and I feel like this is their game plan moving forward. Not only indicated by my own speculation, but it also helps that a lot of this is based off facts and things that Phil and the team have said in the past. So I just wanted to present this overall discussion to you all on how things I believe are changing within Xbox, and I am 100% excited to see your thoughts in the comments down below. So please do fire away. What do you think about Xbox's big change? How do you feel about them possibly trying to break some barriers down with Switch and where they're going next as a company? Please do fire away. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. And a big thank you to all the patrons, all the members who continue to support the hell out of the content here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.